Hey Tyrants, welcome to the crew. I'm Overlord Agenda, and this is my Let's Play of Tyranny. We have just arrived at the disfavored camp. We had a little chat with this Sterling dude, and we have to go and meet the Archons at some point, but let's walk around the outside first. Okay, seems like it's not really possible to get around the outside on this part, but the wood used for these parapets is pristine and finely cut. These walls have yet to see any battle. Okay, stone shield guards. I'll present myself in a second, buddy. Let me just finish exploring the outside. Okay, I can skirt around the north side of the walls. A humble grave lies before you. A battered sword has been used as a marker, the initial B.
A modest grave for the Archon's son, Brennix. We don't bother with funeral rites in the chorus. No point in thanking conscripts for their duty.
Oh. Oh damn, the Archon's son died. That could be significant information, actually. Alright, back to the front gate. Doesn't look like there's much anything else up there. Pretty much, it's not a huge map, it's just a camp. What's up, buddy? Gate guard holds up a warning hand. Go no further. You approach disfavored ground. State your business. Well, I'm Overlord Agenda, Fatebinder of Tunon. I bring words from Kairos for your commander's ears. Ah, so you're the fire starter. Yes, because I burned the library down. Sevius and the companies returning from the burning library are telling some harrowing stories about Kairos' edict of fire. I think myself brave, but I'm happy to have been far away from it all. Must have been a terrifying honor to be the messenger of such a righteous force. Go on in, the soldier gestures towards the gate. The Archons are expecting you. You'll find them in the war tent, center of camp. Alright, we're in. The two Archons are currently meeting inside Graven Ash's tent in the north of the camp. Okay, well, let's see if there's anything else to talk to before we get there. Is this person's name Horde, or is that their unit type? Okay, apparently that's their unit type. They're a Crimson, makes sense, okay. Iron Walker. Okay, you have names. This cart is bursting with fresh food and useful goods. His favorite insignia has been violently defaced. Yeah, it just always is. The table is lined with various medicinal herbs. It would appear they've been carefully rationed. They've got deer penned up. Odd source of food, honestly. I mean, to hunt.
Sorry,
sure,
I can't.
Carefully skinned game hang from this branch. They appear sickly and malnourished.
Is that all? I've got this.
Food. Okay, versus good at that, apparently. Okay, there's the tent. The Archons are in. Anything else up here? Doesn't seem like it. Alright, are you two merchants then, I take it? No time to chitter. Too much armor to mend. Speak to Uncle Pentibor if you've rings to trade. Okay. Pentibor. Hail to you, guardian of the law. The man dressed in merchant finery greets you with a smile. If you have a few excess rings weighing you down, best unburden yourself before battle. You know that if the disfavored suffer a merchant in their camp, that must be a man selling only the finest provisions and armaments. He points to his collection of shields, rations, satchels, wineskins, and other sundries. Take a look. See if something interests you. How'd you end up working with the disfavored? Hard work and good suppliers. When Tunon's men came to my village, all the merchants were given different lists of what they were or weren't permitted to trade. He smiles, hands on hips. In Kairos' wisdom, my record must have been a good one because I was given the right to trade in all manner of goods, most importantly arms. Not a lot of merchants can legally sell weapons. It was like that even before Kairos. You see your wares then? Petibor rubs his hands, eyes alight. Let's see if we can find something you might like. Okay, he's got all kinds of bronze weaponry. Stout. Sigil of Frost, camping supplies, healing potions. Pretty much basic stuff, I think, but he's got a good collection of it. I cannot afford this. Sigils are expensive. Copper, bronze, iron. I guess it's 100 to 1. I haven't seen any. Is there a codex somewhere? my biography. That's not quite the same. Ah, encyclopedia. That's probably it. And tutorials, okay. Oh boy. Rings, I think that's probably what we're looking for here. Character statistics. My god, this is a big, it's like rings. The standard form of currency in Kairos' empire is the copper ring. These thin loops of metal are carried on a rope, string, or leather cord worn about the waist or neck. Each ring is not solid. The ends may be pulled apart to remove a ring from the cord and used as payment. There are 3 metals used in Kairos' ring currency: copper, bronze, and iron. 1 bronze ring is equal to 100 copper rings. 1 iron ring is equal to 100 bronze rings. Early in the Kairos' empire, the weight and value of each ring was standardized. Counterfeiting rings is punishable by death. As rings are used as currency, it's considered vulgar to wear rings as adornment or jewelry. Such decorations are seen as vulgar. Those who wear them are held in contempt. Bronze used in currency is a weaker alloy than that found in bronze weapons and armor. Okay, so it is 100 to 1. His arrows were fletched with precision and care. You can't make out the ironclad soldier's expression under his twisted helmet. He merely stares at you. The sparring dummy shows the deep gouges of hard use. Spears are uniform in their quality craftsmanship. Bow. That should be used for them. Maybe first could use that. Actually. Let's see here. More soldiers. Runner. You are a smith. Nobody can loot that. Isatanis curses the air as a blade of thin iron breaks in half beneath his hammer. Firing weapons was scrapped isn't exactly where I got into this craft, but our supplies are spent. He wipes the sweat from his brow. He gets a better look at you. Why not forge bronze? Bronze will do in a pinch, don't get me wrong. You can take a beating and get bent back into shape, unlike this stubborn iron we have here. He glances at a pile of his work with dread. We always have plenty of tin and copper lying around, so supplies aren't the problem. It's a rare smith who can churn out military-grade bronze consistently. More often than not, it comes out soft. Look around camp. We're garbing the Legion head to toe in iron because it's cheaper and easier to produce for the masses. Couldn't do that with bronze. They called it his favorite the Iron Legion for a reason. Strategy and skill may be our backbone, but our claws are made of iron. The good stuff that comes from the Smiths and Lethian's crossing. There's a shortage? I'm afraid so. The last shipment sent down the Matani went missing near Echo Call Crossing, and I'm afraid we won't be seeing any more now that the valley is sealed. Forge bad iron's Tuno's responsibility. Why is this the first I'm hearing of it? Keep your voice down. Isatanis flinches and lowers his own. Raven Ash doesn't want to cause a panic or pass any information to the Vendrian Guard. Best case scenario, the iron tumbled off a boat and is rusting on a riverbed. Worst case, it ends up in enemy hands. Well, if I find myself in Echo Call, I'll keep an eye out. I appreciate that, as does the great general, more than you might guess. Maybe he isn't quick to offer his thanks to outsiders, but I know he'll be grateful for your help. It would be a boon to the war effort if our iron was recovered. Yeah, well, I'm here to help, even if that means cleaning up the Archons' mess. Oh, no need to salt the wound, Fatebinder. None of us is mistaken in thinking that the siege is going exactly as planned. They still mostly like me. He glances to a crate beside him and points to a small set of notches on the wood. You see that? That's how we tell apart our iron shipments from the rest. Inconspicuous, so people don't go snooping around. You want to keep your eye out for these. Good hunting. You sell anything? Well, yeah. Weapons, which are much more expensive than I can afford. I could get boots, but, like, I don't want boots. Pretty sure I'm a light armor person. Fresh straw in the corner of this prison cell absorbs much of the stench. A meager portion of game simmers in a large copper pot. Fragrant spices attempt to mask the potent smell of whatever creature they've decided to cook. Okay, that's the tent. Alright. Well, let's talk to these guys.
That wasn't so hard.
Ooh, Sigil of Strength. Gloves. What's up, bitter quip? Glory to the voices of Narat. Projecting a salutation for all to hear, the grinning blood chanter raps his staff against the ground as you approach. Fatebinder Sealord Janda, I presume. That doesn't quite come out right. Fatebinder Janda, I presume. His smile quickly retreats, giving way to a sour scowl. I am Bitter Quip. I'm here as the emissary of the Scarlet Chorus. Bitter Quip looks at you impatiently. What can you tell me of the Scarlet Chorus, mate? The chorus is the future of the Tears. I feel only derision and pity for those who fear our inevitable ascension. Bitter Quip looks at you with a raised eyebrow. What in particular would you like to know? What's your role in the chorus? I'm a blood chanter. My magic can turn the will of man in the tide of battle. I've held command for 3 years now, though being forced to keep an eye on the disfavored is not the reward I had envisioned for my service thus far. How'd you come to join the chorus? The doctrine of strength speaks to me, and I answered its call, as did some of my arcane peers. I took to the chorus almost instantly. Unlike most, I cried not for the life of comfort lost to me. My magic invokes fear and terror, and I easily established my dominance over a pack in my early days in the chorus. If you're so curious about it all, Bitter Quip smiles, lifting an eyebrow, perhaps you should visit our camp and see for yourself. Tell me about the voices of Narat. He is supreme commander and public servant. He who sets us free but directs all. Bitter Quip smiles as he talks, his face turning flush. The voices of Narat is the epitome of what each of us can be. A magician without equal, the leader of uncountable numbers. Voices in the chorus are one. Conquering, expanding, growing, changing, always stronger. Bitter Quip pounds his staff on the ground. Glory to the voices! Sounds like you really like the voices. Bitter Quip blinks several times and scowls, saying nothing. That's all for now. Bitter Quip nods, so you depart. Okay. There's the Archons' tent. What are you two? Lucia and Marcus. Oh, so that's not the... Oh, is that my rest tent, maybe? I'm Lucia. This is Marcus. This favorite soldier points to the armored man next to her. And you must be the Fatebinder. From under her helmet you hear an audible scoff. We've been assigned to babysit... Assigned to your hospitality, Marcus quickly interjects, while you remain on disfavored ground. If you should need a place to rest, we can make the necessary preparations. What can we do for you? What's it like serving with the disfavored? In spite of our name, the Legion commands more honor than any military on the face of Tyranny. Unlike the chorus, there's tradition, discipline, teamwork, and unity of purpose. Marcus looks out across the camp. There aren't many of us, but it's better that way. We're a tightly knit family bound together by trust and glory. Accurate enough, Lucius shrugs. After seeing the disunity and bickering of the younger realm defenders, I feel lucky to be in the most agreeable Legion of Kairos as host, even if we're not always the most efficient. Why are they disfavored then? Oh, I'm afraid that isn't for me to say. Others around camp might be able to tell you more, but I don't freely discuss the great general's history to outsiders. Fatebinder, buddy, maybe, but you'll say that it involves the great general, which is already a telling clue, idiot. That's right. At least the Iron Marshal isn't within earshot, or I'd be washing my mouth out with wormwood. Tell me about yourself, Marcus. Not sure there's much to tell you. I trained at Fort Resolution. This is my first campaign, and I'm proud to be with the Legion. I was wounded at the Gates of Judgment, but Graven Ash's protection mended me good. I owe my life to him. Are you bragging that you let your guard down and took a spear to the gut? You really shouldn't boast about a filthy tearsman besting you in battle. Lucia rolls her eyes. You're just bitter that Lord Ash never seems to notice you. In all seriousness, I would take that spear again if it brought fit honor to the disfavored. Kairos knows we could use it. We're the elite fighters in the Northern Army, but somehow we still lack the Overlord's confidence. He shakes his head and sighs. How about you, Lucia? I do this. She unenthusiastically lifts up her heavy shield. And I do this. She mockingly stabs the air with her spear. She shrugs. Playing host is not my strong suit. Ignore my sarcasm. I've seen the Legion through my share of the campaign. After so much bloodshed, our pretenses of honor can wear me down. She turns a cautious eye your way. North's my home, and I consider each and every one of the ironclad bastards in this camp to be family. You won't find another army where each member of the phalanx is as beloved and cherished as the next. You know, it's interesting. We are in the Bronze Age, or we're at like the very start of the Iron Age, it seems like. And it's not even, we're using like phalanx tactics, it sounds like. So we're kind of Greek-inspired here. You seem handy with a weapon, Lucia. Aye, and if you ever want some pointers on how to use that weapon of yours, just let me know. She winks. Lucia, are you flirting with Tunon's Fatebinder? Relax, Marcus. There are plenty of camp slaves if I ever need to scratch an itch. Although, through the visors for helm. You notice Lucia's eyes roving up and down your body. If you ever need someone to warm your bedroll, let me know. I sleep in my armor, hope you don't mind. Okay, Lucia. Have you done battle against the Oathbreakers, Marcus? Every battle is a reminder of the Legion's superiority. The Oathbreakers have plenty of heart, but nothing to beat our northern values and Graven Ash's love. If you ever want to enjoy that feeling, I can spare you the time of day to cross iron. Okay. Training? Of course, Fatebinder. Marcus pounds his fist on his armor and salute. Oh, I see. We can train, well, he can only really train us with one-handed weapons, or two-handed weapons, or parrying, which is maybe good for verse, actually, but not, practical for me. Well, can Lucia... don't have a 10 button on my keyboard. Okay. Some fun to break up the monotony. Okay, and she has dodge and athletics. That's a little more helpful, but ranks trainable this level. Interesting. I don't know that I understand the system well enough to know what I'm doing here. But in fact, what was Verse not using one-handed weapons? Well, she is. It's just 2 daggers. Or 2 swords, maybe. Red Rivers has a delicate curve intended to shear through flesh and parry incoming attacks. The bronze is well preserved, and the hide wrappings around the grip have been lovingly reapplied to compensate for the rigors of daily use. Gutseeker also. The hook of this weapon has seen the most evident use, likely from repeated instances of drawing Gutseeker up from a victim's bowels and catching in the lower rib cage. In spite of its weathered appearance, the blade has been sharpened and maintained with a keener edge than most Scarlet Chorus weapons can boast. It's just an ordinary bow. The one bow I randomly picked up better. So this is 11 to 14. That's okay. It's the same, I think. We're gonna have to figure out how the combat system works in more detail, but from your vantage point, you see tents trail off, obscured by the rising smoke of campfires. The soldiers you see appear somber and quiet, a calm before the storm.
Curious.
I've spotted a hidden crate, and I leveled up. Oh, damn. Garnets, topaz, and agates. That's handy. Monetarily. Okay. Each level you can increase one of your character's attributes: might, finesse, quickness, wits, vitality, or resolve. Increasing an attribute costs 1 point until it reaches 19. To raise it from 19 to 20 requires 2. Okay. So let's see, right. Wits is for spells. Resolve is for durability. Quickness is for spell cooldown. And let's boost wits. That's our primary stat, I think. Oh, and now we can start with talents. Okay. I guess logically we start with magic. Let's see. Bonus to lore. That's the spell breached affliction thrust attacks. What does that do? It reduces armor against spells, so that could be handy. Bonus to magic after using thrust. This is a charged staff strike. This is just straight up plus 10 lore. It's not bad. Because lore helps us learn new spells, so that's actually quite useful potentially. Let's start with this, that seems cool. First level up? Don't think so. But she has, let's see, okay, she has 1 point each in Duelist and Skirmisher. I guess we have to decide at some point then whether we're focusing on her ranged or her close range abilities. Alright, let's talk to the Archons. Yeah, that looks like them. Graven Ash, Voices of Nerat. Bithai, Iron Marshal, Aranyos. Those will be their seconds in command, I guess. Perhaps the voices in your skull ought to come to a consensus if you wish to be taken seriously. Good advice is flexible, changing at the moment. Besides, now we're agreeing with yesterday you. Today you should be happy. We know you hate going into battle without overwhelming odds on your side. If you're so terrified of a challenge, why not wait for your reinforcements? I don't need your heckling, I need your scouting reports. Or better yet, confirmation you quelled the Oathbreakers in the Outer Valley. Oh, that? We will solve it in our own time and way. We must make at least a token effort to show them mercy, after all. Mercy? They've already shat upon our mercy once before. These gutter-born Southnobs deserve nothing better than death. Oh, calm down now. We must leave something to rule. Or have you forgotten Kairos' orders? Patience, old chum. Okay, I think they're out of lines. Let's see here. This battle report from Echo Call Crossing claims the failure of the assault on the village on the Scarlet Chorus. Apparently their scouts failed to report critical intelligence about the enemy composition. I'm gonna take a wild guess that the Scarlet Chorus feels differently about that.
That's 4 reports of avalanches in the mountains now. The Tearsmen can barely count past 9. They have neither the capacity nor the cause to close off the mountain passes. Either way, that leaves the 2nd and 4th cohort trapped outside the valley.
The Archon of War pounds his staff on the ground to punctuate his words. A large and imposing man to begin with, his profile is made larger still by his hulking suit of armor that hums with mystic energy.
Or it's the work of your perfidious Earthshakers. Only a fool would not suspect a traitorous Archon of poisoning the mind of his students with sedition. We would have killed the Earthshakers Guild for their master's treachery, but I'm sure you have some perfectly valid reason for allowing them to live as your pawns.
The Archon of Secrets passes a scepter between his hands as he speaks, twirling the rod in hypnotic circles. You hear the voices in your head. Well, hello there, Fatebinder. We'll be with you in just a moment. Emerald luminescence seeps from the seams of the Archon's ragged red robes. The glow is most noticeable where his neck ought to be. His mask seems to float and spin, never pivoting or bending naturally.
Hey, watch yourself. When these two get going, you don't want to get between them.
First whispers fearfully as she beholds the Archons. Well, you're right, but I'm a Fatebinder, so, Ahem.
I always know you've run out of things to say when you resort to mocking my vassals. If we are to speak of treachery, why is it that my scouts see the Scarlet Chorus warriors defecting back to the Vendrian Guard? Your fearsome reputation has gone flaccid, for it seems you cannot control your soldiers, or perhaps you simply choose not to.
My lords, the Fatebinder has arrived. Iron Marshal Aranyos. The disfavored commander raises her voice, trying with little success to speak over the Archons. Perhaps we could table this discussion and let our guest speak?
Speaking of strategic failures, who was it that insisted the valley would need only a token garrison? For some strange reason, we can't seem to recall which balding halfwit grossly underestimated the enemy. Thoughts?
The Archon of Secrets twirls his scepter in a twisting loop. Can you hear us, Fatebinder? Cough if we have your attention. His leather-wrapped hands flipping the heavy rod with an effortless flow. Are you... If I may address the Archons? Thank you. Governor Janda, how long have we been honored by your iron? Now we're honored by your presence. I must apologize for my lords. Tempers run high of late. Apologies for the sudden entrance. I've traveled long to be here.
Welcome, Firestarter. We have been eagerly anticipating your arrival. Perchance you bring another of Kairos' edicts to savage the enemy?
Well,
we were worried you'd never make it. So glad that Drastus' demise didn't cause further delay.
The Archon of Secrets turns his attention to you. The frozen rictus fashioned into his bronze mask greets you with a permanent smile. How'd you know about Drastus? I only just came from entering ruin. The Archon of Secrets chuckles softly, saying nothing. He's literally the Archon of Secrets, of course.
The voices of Narod has all manner of eyes and ears. It's safer than not to assume he's listening.
Well, you're right and wrong, Gravenash. I do come bearing an edict of Kairos.
Once again, you bring us support in a time of need. We fondly remember your service to the Chorus in the taking of the Bastard City. We knew back then you were destined for great things. But we had not anticipated you would be twice honored with the task of proclamation. So, do not keep us waiting. What is the Overlord's will?
Well, you're not gonna like this one. It appears you need some encouragement to work together. Kairos' edict will end the lives of everyone in this valley unless Ascension Hall is claimed by Kairos' Day of Swords. Okay, Ascension Hall is the traditional throne room of the Queens of Apex. Stands directly beneath the mountain spire in the center of the citadel in the Valley of Vendrian's Well. So it's the center of the rebellion. Okay. The 26th of every month or span is Kairos' Day. Day of holiday and rest for all within the Overlord's empire. Each Kairos' Day is the last day of its span and is referred to by the span's name. Kairos' Day of Swords, therefore, is the 26th day of the span of swords. Oh god, do I have to actually figure out the calendar to make sure we finish this before the Day of Swords? The earth sways with each word you utter, the air thickening with warmth as you pronounce the tersely phrased commandment, its every syllable drafted by the hand of Kairos. With the edict proclaimed, your pulse quickens and the muscles in your legs, worn from a long trip down the mountains, feel renewed. The tired limbs now nearly buoyant with vigor. Oh, it's proclaimed, okay.
The Overlord means to compel us into action. No doubt the avalanches in the mountains are part of this ultimatum. We must conquer the Oathbreakers or die in failure. There is no room for error, and no other way out of this valley alive.
That does seem to be the point.
We'll need to advance across the Mittani. We lose everything if we stand still, and we move to backup Plan Green. The Earthshakers didn't make it over the mountain in time, so we do this the hard way. Over the walls instead of through.
He's got backup plans, I like that. The Archon of War taps a finger against his temple, a low rumble escapes from under his beard.
So you found your backbone at last! Oh, we were worried past humiliations would make you soft, timid. That was a record for you, right? The baker's dozen lost in one sortie. If you had waited for the chorus reinforcements, maybe we'd have eyes and ears on the matter.
The Archon of Secrets passes his scepter from one hand to the next, chuckling softly with each toss. Watch him squirm. So many tiers of replaceable, expendable, useless soldiers. I miss the old Archon of War. You'd never see blood echo in a blubbering mess over a few dead soldiers. He'd used the knuckle bones of his best disciples for jewelry and even made a breastplate out of his dead brother's rib cage, because that's how a real man deals with grief. Okay, I'm not entirely sure that's true or not, but for an Archon of Secrets, you don't really seem to know anything useful. That seems unnecessarily insulting. Yeah, and all these other things are just gonna insult them, really. Look, bicker all you wish. You're wasting valuable
the
time.
Fatebinder is right. We're acting not as leaders, but as children. I've no time for your foolish japes and petty taunts. We should focus on the objective at hand, and that is taking the Mittani River, and then advancing to Ascension Hall and ending this edict.
And enough talking. There's work to be done. My lord, Barak and his band have been drilled on the Echo Call assault plan. The Crescent Runners should be briefing him as we speak regarding the latest enemy movements along the river. I will dispatch him at once. The Iron Marshal salutes, clapping her gauntlet to her breastplate. Barak's commander of the Stone Shields, well regarded by the disfavored High Command. Yeah, we saw him outside, actually. And I will ensure the Chorus stands ready to march. If the disfavored can take the river, the Chorus has the manpower to secure the outer ring of the valley.
Our soldiers clamor for battle, and at last we shall have it. Verse, we command you to continue guarding the Fatebinder. Tunon's Chosen is our honored guest, and must be shown our finest hospitality.
It's true.
I won't let you down, boss. He'll get through the campaign in one piece, as long as he doesn't do anything too stupid.
Yeah, fair enough.
Before we go, you are owed payment, Firestarter. Our spies at the Vellum Citadel were nearly cut down by the disfavored. They have you to thank for their lives. Here is a taste of our gratitude.
Yeah. He did that very publicly for a reason. The Archon of Secrets tosses a small handful of rings your way as he begins to leave. He taps the fifth eye on the shoulder, and with one last twirl of his scepter, the Archon departs with his underling. Suit yourself, Fatebinder. The more you ignore us... I don't take bribes.
Bribery? But we paid you after you helped us. You law pups are so hard to figure out sometimes.
The Archon of War chuckles to himself as he watches the Scarlet Chorus leader and his guard depart. Alright. Graven Ash. We've got a bit of a war to fight here.
The fool and his puppet are gone. Perhaps now I can hear myself think. Rarely do I question Kairos' judgment, but I will never understand why the voices of Nerat is given such authority. I shudder to think what will become of us all should Tunon favor him in the end. Though the edict threatens the Scarlet Chorus just as it threatens us, I cannot shake the feeling that our allies will work against us. You've shown your worth in war, and your name has been known to the Legion since the very beginning of this long conquest. So I'd ask that you join us this one last time, to help us wrap up this last objective.
Well, I'm pretty sure I also die if we don't achieve it, so yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
If you wish to be counted amongst the glorious, speak with the Iron Marshal. She will direct the order of battle until we are ready for the final push into the Citadel.
I'm short a few scouts, short a few soldiers, short a few everything. I'm sure my brethren would be grateful for the assistance of a skilled outsider. And how will the Scarlet Chorus be helping?
I ask myself that question often. While we take the river crossing, the Scarlet Chorus should be using their sizable presence to remove the Oathbreaker patrols lurking in the Outer Valley.
I like that he's face-palming in his portrait now. The Oathbreakers have maintained a sizable force outside the Citadel. We need the Chorus's manpower to scour the region, otherwise the Oathbreakers will attack at our heels once we cross the Mittani. But I'd be honored to help. The Iron Marshal salutes Graven Ash, then turns to leave the tent. I will be at the training grounds, readying the soldiers. Find me there when you're ready. She pauses, clearing her throat. And though I am loath to mention it, the Chorus can likely use your assistance. They certainly won't secure the Outer Valley on their own. Bitthai will be somewhere in that rat's nest they call a camp due east. Seek him out if you must. Yeah, we're gonna have to help. Well, I wonder if we have to choose. Seems like that's the theme so far. But if we can, we should help both of them, because we need this to succeed.
Got it.
Turquoise. Helm. Be allowed to just steal stuff out of Graven Ash's tent? Apparently, yes. The Archon of War lets out a long sigh as he surveys the maps and models splayed about his desk. Glances over his shoulder, making brief eye contact with you, furrows his brow, and turns back to his contemplation. When I received the missive that said the fire starter was coming to the well, I thought, at last, we'll torch these fucking swine. But no, I was foolish to count on such things. May we speak a moment? Seeing as you provided the disfavored with nearly a year of your life, ensuring that Lethian's Crossing turns out iron for our war effort, I suppose a little banter is the least I owe you. What's on your mind? What became of the warriors you left to garrison this region before? I too have questions about that. The Archon inhales sharply, his posture becoming defensive. His cold blue eyes stare at you with an unblinking intensity. I have reason to believe that when the garrison was taken, the disfavored were slain not by the Oathbreakers, and though I know it in my bones, I cannot prove the voices of Nerat is at fault. That's true. I should inform Tunon. No, I will make no claim I cannot handedly prove. I appreciate your sense of duty, but not yet. Well, what is your reason to believe it? It's well known that I can protect my soldiers from harm even if they are beyond my sight. What is less known is that I sense every cut, every kill, every illness. No harm to my soldiers escapes my notice. Of the warriors posted to the Vendrian's Well Citadel, only 2 were slain in the uprising, but a few others died later, and horrible, painful magic was involved. My son was one of those who died under such unusual circumstances. For a second, the Archon of War trembles, his eyes widening with a faraway stare. The Tearsmen have customs against killing prisoners. I'd expect your warriors to be slain in the heat of battle, not after. Do they? I suppose I'm guilty of paying little heed to what these hillfolk believe. That makes it all the more troubling they died when they did. I need to consider what you've told me. Let me speak of something else. Alright, yeah. Look, not to be insulting, but why is it so hard to conquer these idiots? The Archon lets out a long sigh, glaring at you with a furrowed brow. It is not for lack of trying. Earlier in the year, when the chorus were still gathering to the valley, I launched a raiding party to head straight to the Citadel. They never made it past the Matani River. No disfavored survivors and no chorus scouts with eyes on the situation, I know very little of what occurred, only that they died quickly. That left me short-handed and in need of more troops, and they've been slowly trickling in from everywhere. I guess I've been guilty of waiting for my numbers to be overwhelming instead of merely enough. Your regiment here is pretty small, even by disfavored standards. This conquest has spread us thin. Every league we conquer must be held. I issued the call to assembly, but most of the cohorts remain trapped across the mountains. No bother. Won't be the first time I've had to do much with little. Can you tell me of Cairn, the late Archon of Stone, master of earth and soil, destroyer of mountains and cities, leader of the Earthshakers Guild, less their teacher and more their object of study, sworn to Graven Ash. He provides arcane support to the disfavored war effort. So that's the Earthshakers he was talking about, but apparently he's dead. I should have known sooner his heart strayed from Kairos. I needed to split our forces, send him to Azure while I tackled Stalwart, but that was a mistake. Without me looming near, he must have felt free to live out his traitorous dreams. Why do you think he turned against Kairos? Cairn only served us because death was the alternative. He did not admire the unity and progress that Kairos brings. While I suspect Chorus agents may have whispered treachery in Cairn's ear, I think it wholly possible Cairn fell into disloyalty by his own volition. What's become of the Earthshakers, then? Cairn's chief disciple Radix now speaks for the guild. It is true that my warriors are a bit apprehensive about our magical allies. Many suspect Cairn's treachery was taught to them. But I have vetted the guild, pruned whom I don't trust, kept those I can. Alright. How'd this whole issue with the voices of Nerat start? Because it's pretty clear you don't trust him. Our rivalry is an old one. The voices of Nerat served Kairos before I did, and I believe he hates me for being of roughly the same status in the eyes of the Overlord, despite being the younger Archon selected to lead an army through the tiers. The Archon furrows his brow, grumbling softly as he stares. This war seems to have brought out the worst in us. We've disagreed on strategy at every turn. If I have my history right, you used to fight against him. That is true. There was a time before I was the Archon of War, a time when I took arms against the Overlord. At the time, the voices of Nerat was among those invading the lands I called home. So was Blood Echo, the previous Archon of War. My warriors and I ambushed and killed the older Archon of War, but the larger campaign was lost and we had to surrender. When Kairos awarded me the honor of being the next Archon of War, the voices of Nerat wanted me for his slave pens or some equally terrible fate. So yes, he and I have a long history, and that's all I wish to speak of it. But that is all. For the glory of Kairos. The Archon of War taps the haft of his maul to the ground for emphasis, then turns back to his maps. Okay, so they straight hate each other. We're not going to get them to like each other anytime soon. Thanks for watching, sailors. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a like or subscribing. New parts will be up every other day on YouTube, or you can watch live on Twitch. Have a nice day, sailors. This is Sea Lord Janda, signing off.